Deus ex Machina, also known as God from the Machine, is a plot device used in narrative storytelling where a seemingly unsolvable problem is abruptly solved. To keep this video short and sweet and to the point, I'll simply refer to the term as Machina. Hey, get that out of here! Many shows have a Machina, whether it's a character, tool, weapon, or another object of some sort. If you need some examples, think of the classic overpowered isekai anime protagonist. You know, the guy who never has to break a sweat, usually has black hair. Another example would be the Infinity Gauntlet, which hopefully everyone knows about. Hopefully that painted a decent picture of what a Machina is. However, whenever one is introduced or used in a story, the stakes usually die down, if it's used by our protagonists. The only case of when the stakes don't die down is when the other side is fighting for control of the Machina, or we see something more powerful than the device. With that said, I've recently finished Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel, and I gotta say, how they handled Alastor, the radio demon, their Machina, is absolutely superb. If you haven't seen Hazbin Hotel, first of all, I don't blame you. But secondly, in the first season, but more importantly in the pilot, we're introduced to Alastor. To basically sum it up, when he first appeared in Hell, he created a big splash. And I don't mean like tossing a big rock into a lake, I mean tossing a whole brick of potassium into a lake. He took down a bunch of the top dogs and cemented himself among the most powerful of the realm, only to make like the Avatar and vanish. Now before I continue, I must emphasize this. I don't think his character was entirely planned out when we first saw him in the pilot. It's a bit of a tin hat theory granted, but I think when Visipop introduced him into the main storyline of the show, and in Season 1, that she moved a piece on the board without knowing if she was playing chess or checkers. However, they continued to move him forward all the same, until they eventually reached the other side of the board. Now Alastor is 100% without a doubt a Machina. Looking to the pilot shows this off clearly. A major threat is introduced, and with a snap of his fingers, he handles it and starts rambling about pie.
Well, I'm starved. Who wants some jambalaya? My mother once showed me a wonderful recipe for jambalaya. In fact, it nearly killed her.
With him introduced and being on the team, I never really worry for the worst when it comes to our cast. After all, no harm could come to the hotel with him on the team, nor could I really worry about him. However, this didn't stop him from being used quite well as a character. Personally, he's nothing to write home about. Until this scene.
How? I'll do anything.
Anything? Then let's make a deal.
You want my soul?
Your soul? Heavens, no. All I need from you is one itty-bitty favor. What's a favor between friends?
I won't hurt anyone for you.
Who's asking? One favor at a time of my choosing where you harm no one. In return, I tell you what I know. Do we have a deal?
Deal.
Yes sir, even when it was revealed that he too was on a leash for his soul, I was never really interested until I saw this. When I saw this, my interest in the character spiked immediately, for he's guaranteed one non-violent favor from the Princess of Hell herself. Now let's keep it clear. Alastor is an evil character, through and through. Compared to the rest of the team, there's only one person here who I feel has a malicious agenda. From here, he proceeds to majorly help Charlie, after all, protect your assets, and that promise is one hell of an asset. Some singing shenanigans later, and we're at the war of the last episode. Exorcist angels are gunning for the hotel, and Alastor is a pillar of the hotel's defense here. Finally, he squares off with the lead of the Exorcist army.
Adam! First man, next to die.
Who the fuck are you?
Alastor! Pleasure to be meeting you. Quite a pleasure.
And he toys around with him, as I would expect nothing less from our little overpowered radio boy. Until he misses a QuickTime event, and does a voice reveal. Gets his shit rocked, and this baffles me for a moment. we've introduced something stronger than Alastor, a guy who beefed with Lucifer himself. He runs away, but he is officially broken. Ruined. Lucifer takes over the fight, the crew wins, and I want to quickly say that this last episode really needs to be split into 2 parts. The pacing here is extremely fast. I bring this up because in a song after the big battle, Vox hits us with the Alastor's Missing, which is a pretty big title. Only for the guy to show up minutes later, which is like, well, it would be cool to see a hell that thought Alastor had died in the battle, but alas. With Season 1 wrapped up, Vizzy already announced Season 2 on the way. So I'm here looking at a red-suited man. Here he is with this fabled promise, and I wonder what exactly he's gonna do with this. He went through almost no character development. Man started evil, and instead of seeing character growth, we witnessed depth of character. Which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but for someone who has such a major role, I was hoping for a little bit more. In Season 2, playing off of an earlier analogy, the writers realized that we were playing chess. And look at that, our pawn's about to become a queen. When we start this season, it's not revealed instantly, but Alastor is still wounded. His staff held together purely by spite and magic. This nerfs him slightly as the guy's no longer at the top of his game. It seems he's no longer our Machina. So who's our most powerful guy on the team? Well, Lucifer, right? Technically, if it wasn't for the fact that he can't smite sinners. Meaning that him being in hell is, well, like a weird zoo for him. With our antagonist for Season 2 being the V's, Lucifer isn't gonna be of any help. I say as if he was helping much before. Alastor doesn't do much this season. He gets antagonized by Lucifer and quits the team. He leaves and it is revealed that the person who holds his leash is Rosie, the lead cannibal. The deal behind it is that Alastor knew where he was going to end up when he was alive. He made a deal with the devil, or in this case, Rosie, to be the strongest sinner in hell. However, before he could fulfill his end of the bargain, whatever it might have been, he was killed. Rosie fulfilled her end and made him the strongest sinner in hell, but since Alastor didn't follow through, he became Rosie's puppet. Basically, he says, "I'm gonna quit the hotel. That place stinks. The V's are bothering there. Lucifer is a noble prick, and I wanna be unemployed." And that's too bad, boy, I own you. He leaves frustrated and tries to cook up a plan to solve all his problems. He comes up with something pretty fast, and I'm no pro writer, but I think if the scene was dragged out just a tad longer, it would be pretty cool. Before I get into his plan, I need to quickly recap the antagonists of the season. The V's are comprised of 3 head figures. Valentino, the moth demon with the weird magical smoke, manages the adult content of Hell's Entertainment. Velvet, the mannequin, fashion designer, and social media manager. Finally, Vox, the TV-headed celebrity who is solely in charge of the news. Together they manage all the media of hell. At least, I'm pretty sure that's implied. Now the only character that matters of these 3 is Vox, the self-elected leader of the group. This guy has personal beef with Alastor. The extent of it we only learn in Season 2. In a glorified flashback, Vox offered for Alastor to join his team and, he was politely told no.
You're serious? Oh, come now, Vox. I knew you could be pathetic at times, but I didn't realize you were so weak.
What?
Oh, fuck!
The beef is mostly from Vox's side. Alastor maybe cares about the beef eighth as much as Vox cares. Vox these days is constantly trying to low-key prove himself to the haters, and who bigger a hater than Alastor? It might not be always at the forefront of his mind, but the want is there. Now this loops into Alastor's grand plan, which is to fight Vox. Vox calls in his boys, even against a wounded Alastor, and Alastor's goons come to help him fight after they find out that, hey, our Overlord boss is messing with another Overlord boss. Let's be there to root for our team. His goons are comprised of Hux, the ex-Overlord gambler, and Nifty, the creature. When his goons are about to die, he makes a deal with Vox. Leave his lads alone and, quote, never lay his hands on Charlie Morningstar, and he'll be Vox's little trophy. Vox's biggest dream come true, so of course they shake hands. Now Alastor's soul is in shared custody of Vox and Rosie. Since Rosie doesn't wish to show her hand, or at least I believe that's how it's played out, she's just letting Vox have Alastor. At this point, Alastor's role in the story is pretty minimal, so let's skip a few episodes. Do important things happen in the skip? Well, duh, but this is an Alastor vid. If you care about the skip, go and watch the show yourself. Anyways, Alastor's kept around and Vox takes every second he gets to brag. Meanwhile, Alastor is slightly sowing discontent among the top 3 Vs.
Pardon? Flocked by your partners with their far more impressive contribution to your flashy little clown show. What really are you contributing besides noise?
You think they could have pulled this off without me? It's me who made this happen. I have the vision.
I have vision.
Sure you do.
I should go get the dancer's camera ready. See you out there?
Absolutely. And actually, Val, how about you and Velvet manage backstage? Can't have any mistakes in the presentation. I can handle the crowd.
The only meaningful interactions he receives during this time is seeing them capture Angel Dust and seeing them capture Lucifer. In the last episode, Alastor is hanging out in Vox's big victory party. Vox has revealed that he has a way to bring war to heaven. The rest of our main cast is slightly scattered, but also here. However, only one of them falls into Alastor's plan, Charlie Morningstar. You see, Vox has one hell of a plan of his own, a plan which seeds were planted way back in Season 1. Supposedly. We were probably still playing checkers then, I think. Point being, it's all coming together for Vox. However, that in and of itself is part of Alastor's plan. Vox makes a showing of himself being the big honcho of hell, and he tries to peer pressure Charlie into calling him the strongest sinner in hell. Charlie, whose plan is already low-key ruined this episode, is a little weak-spirited at that moment. However, they hold steadfast until Alastor calls in that favor from all the way back in Season 1.
Never.
Oh, the drama! You know what? Maybe you should say it, Charlie. Stroke my friend's ego. He needs it.
What? Alastor, why?
Come on, Charlie. Do me this one simple favor.
Don't make me.
Go on. Tell everyone he's the strongest.
Now this had me genuinely confused for a moment. Why use his one favor from Hell's only princess on this? Seems strange. Maybe he's trying to increase the wedge between him and the other Vs. Anyways, Charlie tells all of Hell that Vox is the strongest sinner. And Vox, in a moment of glory, pats Charlie's shoulder as a, well, you tried, champ, but I won kind of gesture. And these two single moments allow Alastor to break out of not just one, but both of his deals in an insane domino effect, with Vox being declared the strongest sinner in hell. And I'm not really sure if his power actually scales, it's not explained very well. And Vox, putting his hands on Charlie, he broke out of both his bonds, and immediately started aura farming on Vox. Dare I say, based. The other Vs aren't there to back up Vox, as the discontent that Alastor sowed a few episodes back was boiling, and they went to get some air. Before we continue, I want to take a quick step back. Alastor played his pieces perfectly, even at his weakest. He is still the Machina of our show, showing that his power doesn't just come from his raw strength, but his mind as well. My favorite showing of it was when his goons came to help him. They were both threatened, but he didn't give up that fight because he cared for their lives. He gave up because it was his end goal. The threatened lives of Husk and Nifty simply made his surrender that much more convincing. By adding in the part of leaving Charlie alone, he makes it all the more deceptive. After all, he was protecting Charlie for the past year, so it checks out from Vox's POV. Back to the present. Vox finally gets rage baited and starts fighting Alastor, eventually sicking his big old demon shark on him, which is able to move without water. I don't question it, I don't know either, alright? It's just something that's a cool bit. Eventually we get to the point of where all our characters are at the center of the BFG. By the way, there's a gun there. However, it's overloading. Why? Don't worry about that part. It's not important. Anyways, our characters are coming together. Even the two remaining antagonists are using their weird magic stuff powers to neutralize the weapon. However, even with them there, all the overlords helping out, it's not enough. Alastor knows it, and more importantly, Rosie knows it. She pleads with him. After all, he can't escape this blast. However, he makes one last deal. In exchange for the restoration of his staff, only then will he help the others. In this ultimate game of chicken, Rosie folds. She restores Alastor's staff, giving him the last thing he wanted. He fulfills his end of the deal and helps to save Hell. Adding his power really solves the problem. You know, he's the Machina again. You know, he is our boy. He is that guy. At the end of the season, we see him continuing to reside in the hotel for reasons I assume we'll only find out in Season 3. The Machina is a device that should be handled with extreme care. If mishandled, it could break the show, but if handled correctly, it could save it. I rewatched Season 2 for this video, and I have to say that Alastor is the best written, at least in comparison to the other characters. However, we watched our strongest character get humbled and yet still hold all of the cards. With him still being at the hotel at the end of the season, I have an extreme hunch that he'll end up being our antagonist for Season 3, alongside an unwilling Husker and a debatably unwilling Nifty. After all, he was never really 100% on the side of our team. In Season 1, he was told to help our team. In Season 2, he was captured. And in Season 3, we'll finally see Alastor's ambitions and motives unleashed. One of the strongest forces, once controlled, broken, is now free and unleashed and could possibly harm our crew. Now that is how you handle a Deus Ex Machina in your story. If you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you subscribed. I know this isn't the best work that's out there on YouTube, but it still took effort, scripting, and editing. It also took strangely longer to put out than I planned, but that's probably a skill issue on my end. Just putting the thought in y'all's head. Thank you for sticking around for so long, and I'll see you fellas later.